Welcome to part 2 of this episode of In Focus, as WitnessTV explores the issue of drugs affecting Pietermaritzburg schools. In our previous episode, we spoke to a former drug addict and his journey from addiction to recovery. In part 2, we speak to Mountain Dry SAP's CPF spokesperson Shorne Bennie and the work that he is doing to fight the scourge of drugs in the community. My next guest is Shorne Bennie. He is the Mountain Dry's Community Policing Forum chairperson. Shorne has been dealing with a number of cases in the community and schools about drug use, drug addiction, drug abuse, and how it is affecting not only the community but schools and the home. Shorne, thank you for joining us.
Good afternoon, Shanae. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here today. My main point of being here today is hoping to educate the community and the people out there about the dangerous effects of drugs and the availability of drugs on our streets currently.
Now, from the article that we've covered extensively with the CPF, how bad is the issue becoming in as young as primary schools?
Over a period of time, we've noticed that drugs initially started in high schools. It was the higher grades, but with time, it seems to have infiltrated our primary schools. Initially, it was just plain cigarettes and vapes. Now it's gone down to the harder drugs, which is dacha, and sometimes we go down to the extent of having prescription meds found at primary schools as well.
Where are they getting these prescription meds from? Is it family, friends?
90% of the children or the learners that we interview seem to be getting their prescription drugs from their family. The family goes to the hospital, they have chronic medication, collect the chronic medication, come home, the medication is left unattended, and the children see it as a source of income. They then steal the medication and go to school and sell it to their friends and generate money from that.
Which are the common prescription medications that are being used?
Currently, we're going to cover both the school, primary and high schools. Very prevalent in the schools right now is Xanax. It's an antidepressant. Kids that are on Xanax will generally fall asleep. You will find that they are basically looking like near unconsciousness in school. And the other drug that we find very, very, very often in schools is triptyline. Triptyline is a prescription drug given for pain and sleep to the adults.
And are these being mixed with any substances? Are they being coupled with other drugs?
As the learners get used and accustomed to the drugs, they tend to learn from their elder, I'll say, peers, and they experiment by crushing these tablets and mixing them with an ordinary cool drink, which now is able to, from one tablet and a 2 liter of cool drink, they are able to feed the habits of a lot more kids than one tablet with one kid.
And I know that you have been conducting, school checks, raids of hotspots. Which are some of the hotspots within our community? And what are the difficulties that you face at times with these raids and checks?
It's going to be very difficult to pin down a hotspot. I'm going to safely say that problems with drugs are in all our schools currently, not down to a specific school. We asked the SGB chairpersons and the principals to write a letter to SAPS requesting a drug raid at the school. And once we receive that letter, a date is set without the knowledge of anyone. We don't allow the school to know about it. We pitch up on the said date as arranged by SAP, and a raid is conducted. Large groups, up to about 40 personnel, are used to search these children, and hopefully, if we do not find drugs, these searches will deter the kids from bringing drugs to schools.
Now, what happens in the instance where, like, the day gets leaked out, or if, like, say, for example, one classroom sees that you guys are coming along, what happens with the next?
This is a very difficult situation that we face. The moment we enter the school, the feeling gets out, or when we start the raid, the news spreads very, very, very quickly. And we notice that drugs are thrown from the school windows onto the ground, which leaves us with just a drug and no person that was in possession of the drug. The other challenge that we find in the schools is we meet with a lot of resistance from the learners. At times it can boil over into violence from the learners itself. However, we were able to manage it thus far, and we are trying to educate the children as they go along and teach them about the dangers of drugs. Another challenge that we find is that females are used to hide drugs. When we have the males that are generally using drugs, as soon as they know of a raid, you'll have the females that are now hiding the weapons and the drugs on their person. So that makes it exceptionally difficult for us when we are doing the school raids.
Now, you say females are being used. Where do they hide these drugs? And
amazingly, we will find that females will hide their drugs in their bras. Some of them go to the extent of hiding drugs in their underwear. We find dangerous weapons in hats, sometimes in their shoes. Basically any place that they could find as a hiding spot for this. Even in the seams of their dresses, they will go to that extent to hide the drug from us.
it's surprising. It sounds like you're speaking about criminals, highly intelligent criminals. Yeah.
Absolutely. These kids have become streetwise, and we believe it boils down to your home environment. In today's socio-economic climate, people are very rarely able to make ends meet. As a result of that, these kids want to be made or want to feel part of the more affluent community, resulting in them wanting to sell drugs so they can feel rich, they can be with the rich people in the school. And that's one of the reasons why we're getting so many of this. Our socioeconomic climate currently leaves us with a situation that kids are challenged at home. They come from homes with no utilities, lights and water. These kids are disadvantaged. And due to the fact that they do not want to expose their home situations, they resort to these sorts of behaviors to mask the socio-economic situation at their houses.
Now, you speak of these socio-economic issues. How do these issues affect the home and bring dysfunctionality into the home, what are some of the scenes that you are called out to or incidents that occur in the home?
Shanae, this is a very, very serious situation that we look at homes. Kids that are taking drugs and need to feed their drug habits, they start off from stealing from their homes. It starts from a little ring or gold chain from their house. Then it moves on to a kettle and a toaster. Eventually it's a TV, a lounge set. And I mean, recently we had somebody that stole a fridge and sold a fridge from the house to feed a drug habit. So it escalates as the need for drugs increases. And from there, it leads on. When you've finished all the items in your house, it leads to housebreaking. You're going to go to your neighbor's house, break into your neighbor's house, steal whatever you can steal from there, and then eventually we have a criminal, a career criminal on our hands.
Now, with that being said, I know that you are in the process of rolling out crime imbizos and campaigns to address these issues. And what message is important for the youth and parents and the community to hear about where drugs start and what it leads to?
Okay. When we're talking about the availability of drugs and the kids that are using the drugs. Sorry, I lost your question there.
It's fine. So with the crime imbizos that you are having, what message is there for families, for communities, for the youth?
Okay. As a national instruction, all police stations are required to run imbizos, monthly imbizos in different areas so we could reach our communities. And the message that we're sending out to the community is to monitor your child. When it comes to kids, monitor your kids, know your kids' friends, know who they are, know where they live, and know what type of people they are. Because our kids tend to be these people that are selling drugs, and they tend to feel a lot more stronger and bigger than they are. So my message to the parents are, know your kid, look out for the signs and the symptoms of drug abuse. One of the most important signs and symptoms that we can look at is your kid becomes withdrawn from the family, withdrawn from the community, and he or she is more happier outside of the house than within the house structure itself. Oversleeping is also a sign to look out for when your child is on drugs. When the body is saturated with drugs, it stays in the system for a period of time, resulting in them not being able to wake up. Your pupil reactions, you'll notice that in drugs, you got pinpointed pupils. And then you'll also find that the kids become more aggressive. And that's the main problem that we face, the aggression within the house. And when the aggression filters in, the parents start to lose control of their children, and they start to be afraid of their children.
Now, we've also been covering, school fighting in the community among schools. Is this aggression a contribution to kids fighting in schools as well? Absolutely,
Shanae. The aggression from drugs is a definite contributor to the school fighting. But I must also add that the violence within the schools, from information that we received, is more of a turf war. There's different gangs in schools that want to be in charge of that particular school, resulting in fights within these schools.
And does drugs have anything to do with these turf wars or wanting to have control?
If you find that when we do visit these schools, almost every time there is a fight, we will find drugs in the possession of the learners. So yes, I would say drugs is a major contributor to the fights in the schools.
And what are some of the difficulties? Like I know you said sometimes violence can break out. Have you been in that situation where, violence has broken out amongst learners and the team that are doing drug raids? How have you guys handled it?
Shanae, yes, we have been in situations where the learners did not receive us very well during a search, which resulted in them throwing stones and bricks at us to get us away from the school. But with them being minors, we have to deal with them very, very, very diplomatically and try and get the main source or the aggressor aside and speak to the aggressor. And once we get the aggressor aside and speak to the aggressor, 99.9% of the time we are able to get into that school and do what we want to do in terms of searching for drugs. But it wastes our time in that by the time we negotiate with these aggressors, these drugs are disposed of.
It's used as a tactic.
As a tactic.
And I know you've been busy with some of the cases where, kids run away from home, they become involved with drug addicts. What are some of these cases and who are they affecting in our community?
Shanae, the runaways that we are having currently is from across the board. In Mountain Rice, we service 8 wards, and in the 8 wards, we have the same issue where we have teenagers that are leaving home, and most of the time, they leave home because of drugs. They are looking for drugs, and wherever they find it, they will make it their home. It makes it extremely difficult for us. The searches can go on. I think the longest search we had recently was a 10-week search for a female, which we successfully recovered in the Durban area. And the latest was just the other day. We had a 15-year-old that was missing, and we were fortunate enough to recover her, and we're busy getting her the necessary assistance and social services that she requires to rehabilitate herself.
And was this a drug-related issue?
As far as we know, the people are sent for drug tests. Sanka is available. We urge the parents to make use of these facilities. Like Sanka, there's drug tests available at the pharmacies. It's a DIY test. You can buy it. I think they start from about 40 Rand all the way up to 75 Rand. And you can test your kids at home. And if you suspect it, act on it. We plead to the parents, act on it. And your discipline of the children, it starts at home, not at school. We are here at school to learn and not be disciplined. This is one of the important messages that we want to get out to our parents, is that your discipline of the kids starts at home.
Now, as you say, the discipline starts at home. But in some cases, that is not always the case, and what you are finding in schools. How is the CPF working with educators and principals with the issue of drugs and in keeping them safe?
Every school has a safety and security committee. Monthly meetings are held. CPF members attend these meetings, and we listen to the complaints brought to us by the educators and the governing body, and the security personnel that are assigned to that school. If discipline with your child at home is becoming a problem, as a CPF, we are there to intervene, where we can take the child to a social worker and try and teach this child life skills and teach them how to behave and be more responsible. At Mountain Rise, we have 2 social workers that work from 7 Monday to Friday, 7 to 4, and 7 to 1 on a Saturday. You do not need an appointment. You can get into the station and ask to see a social worker, and one will be made available to you.
Brilliant. It's good to hear that there is assistance out there for our community and our schools. From that being said, thank you for joining us and for providing an insight into what is happening in our community and the fact that it's not just one area but throughout.
Thank you, Shanae. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity. And I hope the message goes out to our families and friends and listeners that there is help out there. Contact us as a CPF, contact us as the SAPS, and we will get help to you. Thank you, Shanae.